The next thing you know, I started acting strange, and my friends were like, this is completely out of your character, it's time to go home. And I didn't feel well, and then a lot of the rest is blackout. And then my neighbor started taping me.
Oh, you're angry.
That also is a huge blow, because that was where I lived. And instead of trying to help me, the first thing they thought there, again, was to take a video and to document it. So, again, that was another huge blow to me, and I had to move immediately. Of course, I had to change my whole environment and remove myself from that situation. So I have to say, it's been one thing after the other.
But you think you were drugged?
Yes, I do. The paramedic said that I showed all the symptoms of GHB and that I was drugged. And I know I've never behaved like that from drinking or anything, so I am certain.
Well, GHB is a powerful sedative. It's used in anesthesia. In fact, it doesn't cause excited behavior, animated behavior.
I know.
It knocks you out.
A lot of people think I lied about that, what I believe happened that night. I mean, listen, I'm not a doctor. I can't for 100% say that that was what it was. They just said I showed all the symptoms of that. I mean, like, you know, the dizziness, the throwing up. But then there was the whole part where I was trying to get outside and get away from it and be in the light. And then, of course, I did get knocked out later. It did eventually, but I was fighting it pretty hard, and I was trying to get it out of my system.
But my point is, that could have been a cocktail
of other things. I mean,
I'm
sure.
telling you, these street drugs mixed together can potentiate each other. It's unbelievable how dangerous that is, because when they interact, they become exponentially powerful.
I certainly had no idea I'd been giving something.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea.
And the reports said that you were screaming about killing yourself and things that were totally out of character for you.
Well, yes, and that's not true. I wasn't saying that part. I definitely didn't want to harm myself. I think I was having this feeling that the world was coming to an end, though, and that I was dying.
We're dying. We're dying.
I mean, it was very scary. I was terrified. I was terrified. It was like being, I don't remember most of it, but I do remember feeling, right going into it, of being locked in it and trapped in it and wanting to get out of it. And at first it seemed like I was sort of happy and okay and like just not myself, and then it turned sinister, and that was right before like I blacked out basically.
That's why I consider a cocktail, because serotonin gets disrupted and you get this impending sense of doom, and then you crash.
Right.
And that's really, really dangerous. You woke up in the hospital, right, because you blacked out.
Right.
And you got two-seaters?
I did, yeah. They took care of me there. They took me two-seaters. I was already out.
And you had no idea what happened to you?
No.
You didn't know how you got there?
Nope.
Has any of it come back to you?
Nope.
Is there anything else you want to clear up about that?
I certainly didn't want to kill myself. I was locked in something that I was trying to get out of. I want to make it very clear that I would not lie about these things. That is just not in my character. It's very painful for me to stand up for myself and have to talk about this, and it's not ideal. But if in any way it would help other women or people who you hear more and more of these nightmare stories about, in both situations, both the complete invasion of my personal body and privacy as a woman, and like in that situation, because you hear more stories like that, and again in the same thing as somebody going out with your friends and getting drugged, or like something like that happening to you, and it can literally almost kill you.
I knew it!
In the tape, you were repeatedly saying, I always knew it, I always knew it.
I knew it. I knew it, and I didn't want it. I didn't want anyone to know.
Do you have any idea what you were talking about?
I think it was complete hallucination. I have no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah. Were you seeing something, or was it an auditory hallucination, a visual hallucination?
It was both. Before I black out and don't remember anything, it was both auditory and visual,
what were
but
you
more
seeing?
Visual. Like specks of light and stuff like that. There's also blackout parts like in earlier in the night, and then I'll remember like my friend saying please lay down, and then it'll be gone again, and then the whole part like outside is just blackout. So it's at that point I don't think anybody knew what to do. Eventually